Welcome in to the College Football Every Game on the Board podcast. Last one of the season, last one of bowl season with Veno Sports on Twitter. Robbie Veno, wagertalk.com. Robbie, welcome in, man. How you feeling?
I am good, Drew. Glad to be here. Close out every game on the board season. Been a good run for this show. I like being here each and every week. So we got bowl games to close it out with, though. So this will be fun.
That we do, guys. We are going from Clemson, Tennessee, 267 to 268. Those are the rotation numbers, the little numbers next to the team name when you go to wagertalk.com, the live odds screen. We're going down in numerical order. We just had mid-major Matt break down the top half of these games. Now we have Robbie Veno in breaking down the rest of the games scheduled here. Friday, December 30th in the Orange Bowl, Robbie, Hard Rock Stadium. Miami Gardens, Florida, 8 p.m. Eastern kick, Friday night lights. Clemson and Tennessee, ACC, SEC, -5.5. That's what we're seeing. Clemson as the favorite. 63.5 being the total. You liking anything in South Florida on Friday night?
Well, I think, you know what I like to do, Drew, is I take the season-ending power ratings and make lines for these bowl games as the matchups are announced, and then try and see where the actual game lines go to. And here we got quite a turnaround. At season's end, regular season end here, I had Tennessee a 6.5-point favorite in this game, if all was the same as it was at the end of the season. We know there's injuries, opt-outs on the Tennessee side here. There's some on the Clemson side as well, but it's caused this game to now be Clemson -5. So to me, right away, I look and I say, wow, that's an 11.5-point reversal. Is it worthy? Are the personnel issues worthy of it? Take a quick look at Tennessee, right? Hendon Hooker, the big story. Obviously, he's not going to play. He's injured out for the year. Joe Milton in. Okay, we'll take Joe Milton as the quarterback. Then you get Jalen Hyatt, star wide receiver for Tennessee, and Cedric Tillman both out. But Tillman didn't play a lot of the season, and Tennessee still has a plethora of wide receivers that are capable in this game. Their offensive coordinator, Alex Golish, gone off to be the head coach of the University of South Florida. But I don't know that matters much because it's Josh Heupel's offense anyway. So all things considered, I'm not sure that the Tennessee defections are worthy of a 2-score reversal in the line. For Clemson, definitely a positive. Cole Klubnik is going to be your quarterback from here on out. He showed really well in the ACC championship game. I think that's a plus for Clemson offense. Look at the motivation or the excitement level in this game. I think both teams, Clemson really, you would think, is using this as a stepping stone into 2023 with their new quarterback. But the same can be said for Tennessee. And in fact, Tennessee starting defensive tackle Bryson Eason said that this team is dialed in and ready to play. So I think that my initial thought that Tennessee might be disappointed to be here, I have to reconsider after hearing the players say that they're dialed in. I think the point spread adjustment here, Drew, probably a little too much. If I had to at this moment, I think I would be on Tennessee plus the 5. Total here is 63.5. We could see the game get, into the high scoring, stratosphere, but I haven't taken a real keen look or a real solid look at the total as of yet. So right now I'd be looking at Tennessee plus points.
Yeah, a little underdog look here to start us off in section 2 of the bowl breakdowns. Seems like Clemson's played in the Orange Bowl an awful lot, Robbie. Not sure if that matters too much, but we got next game up Saturday, December 31st, the New Year's Eve card, which includes the playoff games. Bunch of games here on New Year's Eve. We'll start them here. Iowa and Kentucky, Big Ten, SEC, Music City Bowl, Robbie, Nissan Stadium, Nashville, Tennessee, where the Titans play their home games. Noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific kick, -2. That's the Hawkeyes as the favorite. 31 the total. 31, not a team total, for the game. That's the total here, Robbie. Lowest total on the board. I remember these two played a bowl game a few years back that was a wild finish. We'll see if we get a good game here. Likely a competitively played game. That's what the odds makers are telling us. -2, 31 being the total. Are you liking anything Iowa and Kentucky, Rob?
Yeah, it's crazy, Drew. Two bad offenses. without their starting quarterbacks. Will Levis opting out for Kentucky, Spencer Petras out for Iowa. So you're going to get 2 backup quarterbacks for bad offenses. And you're likely to get rain in this game. Forecast is calling for rain showers anywhere between, from what I saw, 52 and 57% chance of rain for all 4 quarters. Temperature anywhere between 57 and 60 degrees. So the cold or heat won't be an issue. It would be the wet weather on a grass field with bad offenses, with backup quarterbacks, and you can see why this number is 31. However, in modern day college football, playing under 31, you can do it. I won't do it. And that can be done by mistake in a lot of these games, especially with backup quarterbacks. You could have the defenses getting turnovers and setting the offense up in good field position. Here, power ratings said that Kentucky should have been a half-point favorite in this game, so maybe a little room there for them. I think because both of these teams, Drew, really depend upon rushing the football, the edge where running backs are concerned certainly goes to Kentucky. They've got the better duo, Chris Rodriguez and Kavasier Smoke, much better than what Iowa brings to the table. However, Iowa's run defense is better than Kentucky's. But if Kentucky can stack the box, I think those things neutralize each other. This is a bad football game from an aesthetic point of view. But I think if I had to, I'd probably try the Kentucky side. Now, Kentucky, let me just say this. They're going to be playing a redshirt freshman quarterback, Kaya Sharon, 17 of 28, 187 yards this season. It's his only action in college football. 2 TDs and an interception. More of a pocket passer where Will Levis brought a lot of running ability to the Kentucky offense. That's probably gone in this game. So one key component from Kentucky's offense, aside from his leadership, certainly fundamentally will hurt UK. On the other side, Alex Padilla, the quarterback for Iowa, is a junior. He's had a lot of action, 157 pass attempts in his career, not very accurate, 49%, 3 TDs, 4 interceptions. So make of that what you will. I think when push comes to shove in a game like this, I would probably like the underdog, but not something that I bet, and probably not something I'd be on. Maybe in-game betting is best for that contest.
12 noon Eastern kick in the Sugar Bowl. Next game up, 271, 272, Kansas State and Alabama. 56 being the total, -6.5. That's the Alabama Crimson Tide. Rob, we don't see Alabama not playing in the playoff very often. We get them here. Motivation becomes a question. Kansas State obviously played well their last time out, the Big 12 Conference champions, giving TCU their only loss. Can they carry that over here against the Alabama Crimson Tide? What do you like in the Big Easy on New Year's Eve?
I anticipated, Drew, being contrarian in this game where motivation was concerned, just off of the way Nick Saban reacted to his team not being invited into the Final Four party. He looked a little bit perturbed. However, you don't know if the players are going to feel the same way as the head coach. And lo and behold, Alabama, very, very few opt-outs for this game, including, guys that are projected to be number 1 and number 2 selections, not first and second round, but number 1 and number 2 overall in the upcoming draft. Bryce Young and Will Anderson, both are in. They've got 6 major top-level personnel guys that have all decided to play in this game rather than opt out. So Alabama, to me, when I see that, it looks like a team with a point to prove. You should have put us in instead of Ohio State. And I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to put a stamp on this particular contest. Can they do it? Personnel-wise, Drew, and statistically, it would seem to be a little bit of a mismatch here. You've got, perhaps the second best SEC team against a team in Kansas State that played in a Big 12 that, they've got a lot of good teams, but they have nothing superior. They didn't play any fantastic defenses. I don't think they played any quarterbacks, the likes of Bryce Young. They haven't faced a pass rusher, the likes of Will Anderson. So you start adding up all the fundamental matchups here, and you come up with a lot of Alabama. My power rating suggested Alabama should be a 13-point favorite on neutral field. They were 5.5 up to 6.5 at this point in time. Malik Knowles, the star wide receiver for KSU, who went down in the TCU game, will play here. That's a big bonus for Kansas State because that trio of offensive players, Will Howard, the start of the season second string quarterback who turned out to be the best quarterback they have, Will Howard, Deuce Vaughn, terrific running back, and Malik Knowles. That trio produces almost all of their offense. So that's a real big boost for KSU to have Knowles in this lineup. I think Alabama is going to take exception again to not being put in the Final Four. And I think they'll put a target on Deuce Vaughn, a guy who's got a lot of notoriety this season, rightfully so. He's a terrific running back, but I think Alabama will take that as a challenge. I think they'll take this Kansas State offense as a challenge. Kansas State in 10 Big 12 games this year allowed 27 or more points. So it's not your typical, like Bill Snyder, great defense, grinded out games type of team. They give up points, they score points. Good point spread team this year, 10-3 ATS. They've gone over this particular total of 56 in 7 of their last 10 games, averaging 58 points per game combined. So certainly you can see the difference in what we think of K-State as to what they were this year. Couple of numbers, if you guys are out there, are first half or second half bettors. KSU was 10-3 against the spread in the first half. They were 7-1 to the under their last 8 games in the second half. I don't think Kansas State can hang in the trenches with Alabama. Certainly a lot of these games are won right there at the line of scrimmage. I would probably be on Alabama in this game, Drew. Perhaps maybe a slight look at the over, just because that's the way Kansas State has leaned all season long.
Interesting take, Robbie. Haven't heard a lot of people taking Alabama. You bring up some good reasons why. Great analysis here from @Veno Sports on Twitter. Check him out, wagertalk.com, on a hot bowl run here, 7-3 to start off the bowl season. We got Ohio State and Georgia next up as we're talking. Guys, we're going down in rotation order, but the playoffs are the 2 games next up. Ohio State and Georgia, 8 p.m. Eastern. In the Peach Bowl, Atlanta, Georgia, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's where the Falcons play their home games. 62 being the total here, Rob. -6.5. That's Georgia as the home favorite. They're listed as the home team, not in Athens, but in Atlanta. You got to think a little bit, though, Robbie. I know it's a neutral site game, but it's in the same state. Georgia's played in this stadium. This will be the 3rd time this season. They blew out Oregon. They handled LSU in the SEC championship as well. I don't know. Do you give them any advantage because of kind of where this game is being played? I know Ohio State travels very well. There'll be a lot of Ohio State fans there, but maybe a little lean here, a little home field advantage towards Georgia. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on this game? -6.5. That's Georgia as the favorite, 62 being the total.
Yeah, I think you have to give them a little home field advantage here, Drew, but certainly not the full home field advantage that you would normally give Georgia if they were playing a team here. For instance, when they played Oregon to start the season, you would expect a 75-25 split in crowd in favor of Georgia. As you said, Ohio State travels really well, and the ticket allotment is dispersed evenly. So I think that the folks from Columbus for a national semifinal game are certainly going to show up, and we'll see a lot of red in the stands here. For those who want to go back, because I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version here so me and Drew can get through all of our games. Myself and Drew, along with Ralph Michaels, analyzed this game in depth on the Best Damn College Football Show. If you want to see full analysis from all 3 of us, you can go back and watch that Wager Talk TV show that we did earlier in the day today. Briefly, I'll say this. I think that Ohio State has 2 concerns here. A, the Michigan game, because Michigan is a lot like Georgia. And in that Michigan game, Ohio State got blown out of the line of scrimmage and they gave up 5 touchdowns of 45 yards or more. 4 were 69 yards or more. And B, Georgia, facing a team that's a lot like Ohio State, Tennessee, was able to shut down the Tennessee pass attack. Now, I make one difference in that particular game where Ohio State played Michigan. In that game, Ohio State had to prepare for J.J. McCarthy, a running dual threat quarterback. And what they decided to do was not let him run and make him throw to beat us. They didn't think he could do it. He did it. Here they face Stetson Bennett. They don't have to worry about game planning for that. I think they could be better on the defensive side here in that game. CJ Stroud does not get touched by opposing defenses. He's been sacked one time every 47 pass attempts. The Ohio State offensive line, one of the best in the nation, going up against one of the best defensive lines in the nation. That's a good matchup there, but not one that I think Ohio State will be bulldozed by. Can Ohio State handle the Georgia running game? They couldn't handle Michigan's. They need to handle this one. Points are plentiful here, Drew. 6.5. I know Ralph used the phrase when we did the show with him, house money. Ohio State playing with house money. Does that mean they'll be loose? And maybe Georgia will be the tighter of the two teams because pressure's on them. They're the favorite to win this thing. Maybe. But I would say that, if you just go up and down these rosters, there's as many 5 stars on one side as there are on the other side. Ohio State doesn't lack for personnel. I think Ohio State plus points. Maybe they keep this one closer than the point spread indicates. It's what my power ratings show. Maybe they don't win, but they cover the number.
TCU and Michigan in the other semifinal. This one 4:00 Eastern, 1:00 Pacific in the Fiesta Bowl, State Farm Stadium, Glendale, Arizona. That's where the Arizona Cardinals call their home. 58.5 being the total, -7.5. That's the Michigan Wolverines as the favorite. Rob, it's TCU and Michigan for the right to play for the national championship. What are you liking here in this Big 12, Big 10 matchup?
Yeah, and again, this was the other game that we covered, myself, Drew, and Ralph, on the Best Damn College Football Show. So you can also get Ralph's analysis of this on that particular show. I'm going to give you what I think are the 3 key advantages for Michigan in this matchup, along with the fact that my power ratings say on a neutral field they're 12 better than TCU. And the line is only 7.5, and it's come down from 9.5 to 7.5. But here's the advantages I see. The point of attack, Michigan statistically and to the eye, they are the better team at the line of scrimmage. And they're the better team at the line of scrimmage in a sizable way when you start looking through the numbers here that go with this game. And both of these teams, offensive and defensive, rush yards per carry, the line of scrimmage, the sack numbers, all that stuff points towards Michigan. The protection and the rushing of the opposing quarterback. Michigan has a plus 23 sack differential on the season. J.J. McCarthy doesn't get sacked often, and they get to the opposing quarterback pretty often. For TCU, that margin is -2. Max Duggan's been sacked more than TCU has gotten to the opposing quarterback. And remember, Max Duggan's a very solid dual threat quarterback, great mobility. So that doesn't bode well for TCU. And then explosive touchdown margin. Michigan has only allowed, in 13 games, they've only allowed 4 touchdowns from outside the red zone. They just don't give up the big play. And TCU kind of lives off the big play. They've got 27 touchdowns outside of the red zone this season. They've given up 15 for a plus 12. The Michigan side, they're plus 18. They've scored 22. They've only allowed 4. So I think explosive TD rate, both offensive and defensive, goes for Michigan here. I'll add to it that the Michigan injury situation, which looked maybe like a problem a couple of weeks ago, is no longer a problem. Michigan's going to be really healthy for this game, Drew. Mike Morris, they're all Big Ten first-team defensive end. He's practicing in full. Donovan Edwards, they're starting running back. Since Blake Corum went down a couple of games back, he's practicing in full. The hand injury, he was I read where he was catching passes the other day. So the hand, not a problem right now. The offensive line, intact. So Michigan's healthy. I think they're pretty focused here. I think TCU has worn down a little bit as the season went on. So many come from behind victories. Kind of wears on you a little bit. I think Michigan's the right side in that game.
All right, playoffs in the book here from Rob Veno. Last section of the Every Game on the Board podcast. We got 4 games left, all on January 2nd to end it here, guys. SEC and Big Ten next up here. Raymond James Stadium, Tampa, Florida, Monday, January 2nd. We got Mississippi State and Illinois here, Robbie. 45.5 being the total. And it looks like a pick'em price tag. Just pick the winner here. Mississippi State and Illinois. Anything quickly here in the January 2nd bowl game to kick us off?
Well, it's why it's so hard to bet these bowl games as soon as the numbers open, Drew, because when they originally opened right away, right off the bat, I wanted to be on Illinois. But things happen. This is going to be a hugely motivational game for Mississippi State, which chose to play it. They had
Yeah.
the option not to play it. Mike Leach's death, obviously, this will be a dedication game. All the players will play. You know you're going to get full motivation, full focus. It'll be inspirational. It will definitely be, you'll get a firm effort out of Mississippi State. Now, on the Illinois side, where I wanted to be to begin with, their top running back, Chase Brown, opted out of this game. And without Chase Brown, Illinois is not the same offense. Let's add to this, Drew, real quick here, that Illinois has great pass defense numbers on the season, except their two all first team Big Ten corners opted out of this game against an air raid offense. You're going to leave them shy defensive backs against an air raid offense that's motivated. I've come full circle on this one. Even if it were just the motivational, play this one for Mike Leach, and that's all I had to go on. I think I would still bet Mississippi State at pick 'em price here. Weather's going to be good. I'm showing 74 to 78 degrees, sunny, only 5-mile-an-hour winds, so the pass game won't be affected at all. I'm going to try Mississippi State in that game.
Yeah, it's the opt-outs which you bring up are huge for Illinois, and then I mean the whole Mike Leach, may he rest in peace, and they're playing in where they have pirate ships on the field. It's just I don't know. I'm not going against Mississippi State. I know that much. We get Tulane and USC up next here, Robbie, in the Cotton Bowl. Tulane, what a season for the Green Wave. Willie Fritz and company there in the Big Easy. 62 being the total. USC, that's the Trojans, minus 2-point favorites here. This should be a good one, Robbie. Interesting handicap, competitively priced here. Tulane and USC. You liking anything in this one?
Yeah, I think, at first glance, Drew, you would say definitely we know we're going to get full focus, top effort out of Tulane and Willie Fritz, right? This is territory they've never been in. And I can't remember the last time Tulane was in a major bowl game like this on New Year's Day or January 2nd this year, the way it falls. This type of bowl situation. So Tulane's going to come to play, and it's a good football team. No question about it. USC, on the other hand, you could go back and forth. I don't think they'll be motivated. Well, maybe they will. Maybe they won't. I'll say this. Caleb Williams, as of an article I read earlier today, is going to play in this game. Caleb Williams did not have to play. Had a hamstring injury. Could have sat out of this one. Got a couple of key offensive weapons that won't be available in this one. He could have sat out, but he wants to play, as do a couple of other USC starters who are taking this one pretty serious. So maybe we get a full effort out of both sides here. A lot will be made out of the fact that Jordan Addison, the top wide receiver for USC, isn't involved here. But guess what? Receivers 2 through 4 are playing in this game. So Caleb Williams is going to have weapons. Austin Jones has played running back for the last 2 games without Travis Dye and done very well. USC is missing a couple of key offensive line components out of this one, either for injury or opt-out. That may be the biggest thing to worry about with USC here. I think Tulane comes focused, as I mentioned earlier. The USC defense is not very good. I'm going to say this because we're recording this, Drew, a little bit prior to when this game is going to be played. And Caleb Williams has not been officially announced as the quarterback yet. I'm going to say if you like the over in this game, which I do, you play that right now. USC's offense has been spectacular all season long. Tulane has seen nothing like it. And on the other end of that equation, USC's defense has been less than spectacular. And Tulane has been led by Michael Pratt at quarterback, has been really good. So I think you're going to get points from both sides. Good conditions, right? This is in Jerry World in Arlington, indoors. Right now, the total sits at 62. Once Caleb Williams is announced as the quarterback, it's going up. So get it now. If you like Tulane, wait around until he is announced. You'll get a better price if you like Tulane. If you like USC, you're better off to get them now. So I think all this line movement is going to swirl around Caleb Williams, who has indicated, like I say, he's going to go. So I think that's a big deal here. I like over in that game, though, Drew. Anything involving USC with their offense and lack of defense, I think we can safely get home over 62 points.
Sure, Robbie. Yeah, and it is in Jerry's world. The Cotton Bowl now, AT&T Stadium, where the Cowboys play. 2 games left here, guys. Monday, January 2nd, 1 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll have a trifecta of games to kick us off, and then the Rose Bowl to end it. Camping World Stadium, Orlando, Florida. The Citrus Bowl here, Robbie. Purdue and LSU. We are seeing Go Tigers, minus 14.5-point favorites. 56 being the total. One of the heavier favorites on the board here, Robbie. That's the Bayou Bengals and LSU. About a touchdown move up from the opener. So the market, like in LSU, Purdue, the Big Ten team, LSU, the SEC team in the Citrus Bowl. You like it anything in Central Florida, January 2nd, Rob?
I think you probably have to lay the points with LSU or don't play, Drew. Purdue has been so severely affected through personnel, through coaching changes here. Remember, Jeff Brom is out over to Louisville. So the coaching situation is not good here. And I think Purdue is so predicated offensively on the childhood friend combination of quarterback Aiden O'Connell and wide receiver Charlie Jones, who may have been the best wide receiver in the Big Ten this season. Both of them opting out here, backup quarterback. The discrepancy between Charlie Jones's receptions and receiving yards this year and the backups is enormous. I don't know how Purdue overcomes this against LSU. If they're motivated whatsoever, LSU, and I think they will. It's Brian Kelly's first year. It's Brian Kelly's first bowl game. He obviously was brought there to win SEC titles. And as a stepping stone for 2023, he's got his coaching staff in place. I think they'll have a game plan devised. Purdue, on the other hand, could be in disarray. I think if they get behind early here, Drew, there's no way out for them because they can't run the football. So without their quarterback, without their top receiver, I think if you play, you got to play LSU or nothing else.
Last game, guys, for every game on the board for the full season. We've talked every single game on the college football betting board here. If you're liking the content, we'll be back next year. But if you could do us a favor and please smash that like button at Drew Martin Bets on Twitter, at Rob Veno Sports on Twitter, Drew Martin Bets YouTube, and also Wager Talk YouTube channel, guys. Please smash that thumbs up button. Let us know in the reply section below if you're watching, where you're watching from, what you're looking to bet, where you agree, where you disagree. All is welcome. Always love to read the replies here, guys. I'll be in there throughout the week answering any questions as well as we end it here. The one for the Roses, Robbie. Rose Bowl, Pasadena, California, 5 o'clock Eastern time, 283-284, Utah Utes, Penn State, Nittany Lions, Pac-12, Big Ten, minus 2.5. That's Utah as the favorite, 52.5 being the total. Liking anything in Pasadena to end it, Robbie?
I'm going to be brief here, Drew, because I can't back this feeling up with a whole bunch of statistical info, but I like Penn State in the game. I mean, the opt-outs, Penn State hasn't had a bunch, but they've had a couple more meaningful than has Utah. Kyle Whittingham's bowl record, nobody wants to go against that, but I think I do here. I think when you size both of these teams up, Penn State matches up real well with Utah. Utah, obviously a physical team out of the Pac-12, not necessarily the norm for Pac-12 teams. But just living in this area, Drew, this James Franklin era, everything I'm reading, this is a hugely important game for James Franklin at Penn State. Not that he's going to be fired, but just to win something that matters for once for Penn State. Players seem to be extremely motivated. Again, I don't think in fact, I would say this. I think if you had to choose rosters, like if you were in a schoolyard and you were picking sides, you would probably pick Penn State's side over Utah's side, even with the opt-outs. I think they come fully focused. Again, there's a lot of reasons to support Utah, but I just have this gut feeling that James Franklin's going to get this team a victory finally, and something to keep the alumni off his back a little bit, because there's a lot of pretty good section of the alumni that really doesn't care for what James Franklin has produced here at Penn State so far. So give me Penn State plus the points. The line is moved in favor of Utah. I'll buck the line move and take Penn State as the underdog.
All right. And Robbie, a little bonus here before we get to best bets. Anything North Dakota State, South Dakota State, minus 4-point favorites, 47.5 being the total FCS championship game. I know you dabble at times, but all good if not.
You must have known that I wrote down some notes for this, Drew. I didn't know that you were going to ask me, but I anticipated.
Okay. Hey.
They played earlier this year. South Dakota State got the win. That's North Dakota State's one loss. North Dakota State's one loss on the season. North Dakota State, generally the best team in FCS football, was not that way this year. They were not the best team in FCS football. South Dakota State has been. The quarterback play here is tremendous for South Dakota State. The running game, the pair of wide receivers, the twin brothers, fantastic. I think I like South Dakota State. I had questions about them the previous round. Would they be able to beat Montana State? But boy, Drew, their defense played tremendous. Again, it was at home, and all of these FCS playoff games are played at home up until this one, which is played in Frisco, Texas, in Toyota Stadium. South Dakota State back there again this year. I think they get it done this time around. It's hard to beat ND State once a season, never mind twice. These two are bitter rivals out of the Missouri Valley. But I just think overall, South Dakota State's the better team at this point in time. So I would probably lay it. I also think this one goes over the number of 47. South Dakota State has been playing overs as of late. And North Dakota State's defense is not the steamroller that it's been in years past. They can be had. So give me South Dakota State and a slight lean towards the over.
And that's on Sunday, January 8th, the FCS championship game in Frisco, Texas. Then, of course, we'll have the national championship game Monday, January 9th between TCU, Michigan, Georgia, and Ohio State, the two winners there in the semifinals. So, Rob, awesome stuff as always, guys. That does it for every game on the board. Any final thoughts for the show, Rob? Guys, check them out on Wager Talk. 7-3 run here in bowl season, seeing it well. And do you have a best bet, like one that you like the most of the games we talked about more than the others here, Robbie?
I think if I was going to leave you with one, Drew, let's leave it this way. The motivational angle for Mississippi State, there's no way I could play the other side and with the opt-outs of Illinois. So I'll give you Mississippi State as a best bet for the show. And before we close here on another season of Every Game on the Board, which has been going on since Sports Memo was its own company, prior to the merge with Wager Talk. Drew, we go back to August in Las Vegas, where you start meeting some of the people who watch our shows. We appreciate every one of you guys and women who watch this and lean on us for info every single week. We're trying to give you the best we know, put you in the best position to win. Again, we appreciate the loyalty of this audience, which has been strong for quite some time now, double-digit years. At least a decade. I think we've been doing this one, Drew, probably longer. So again, just want to thank you and a happy new year to everybody who supports this show. We do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well said there, Robbie. Shout out to Anthony in the chat box. Also, Johnny Outlaw as well. Thanks for joining us live, guys. And again, if you could please smash that like button and comment in the reply section. It helps out the algorithm. That does it for Every Game on the Board for 2022. We will be back for 2023, guys. So come back and join us for sure. Rob, Veno, we'll have Mid-Major, Matt, the whole crew here, guys. Teddy covers the whole bunch. Maybe add on some new handicappers. Let us know below if you have any recommendations, guys, you want to hear as well in the industry. So happy New Year out there. Happy holidays to everybody joining us. And cash those tickets, guys. Enjoy the rest of bowl season. For Rob, Veno, I'm Drew Martin. That does it. Cash those tickets. Thanks for tuning in.